Hi, this is Courtney Butler of balanceyogaandwellness.com and also solution focused coach and author of The Mud and the Lotus, a guide and workbook for yoga students. So today I had to give an interview for Resolve to Reclaim 2018, which is a business and coaching summit for the school I went to, the Universal Coach Institute out of New York City. And it was really a lot of fun. But as we were talking about everything with my coach Aisha, and I was looking over research to give my talk, I realized that the word resourcefulness is not in vogue. Like there's hardly anything. There's hardly any books. There's hardly any videos. There's hardly any blogs about it, and I don't really understand that because I think it is a lost art, and it's something that our grandparents and great grandparents knew how to do because they had to live through the Depression. And now we live in a fast food society. Everything is quick and easy, and a lot of times we don't have to work for it. So, even when I was growing up, where I live now, I cannot even count the number of fast food restaurants there are, but there were two when I was a kid here. And, that was a treat. You just didn't go out to eat like you do now. So you had to kind of work for things a little bit more. And the obesity problem wasn't like it is now either. So I made a commitment to do a weekly video and blog post on what I was doing in the Resourcefulness Challenge, but also just to record anytime I find a way that I've been resourceful. Now, my challenge, as you all, if you're following, may know, that is buy no books, shoes, clothes, purses, or jewelry for myself for the year. And I haven't really been tempted too much. There was a book my sister was telling me about that I wanted, but I'm not going to buy it. I will borrow it from her or get it from the library, or I'll put it on my list for birthday presents or Mother's Day or whatever. And then there was a ring that my friend is a jeweler in Seattle made that I really loved and wanted, but as much as I liked it, I know I can do without that. So I did. This week I spent $35. We give ourselves a little bit of what we call running money. And I went out to eat twice, and I'm not giving that up because that's my time with my friends. It's precious to me, and it kind of reboots me for everything else I need to do. So $35 isn't bad. I spent $8 going to the doctor. As you may be able to tell, I sound like a frog. I've had really bad bronchial infection. So if I sound a little wheezy, my normal breath is kind of wheezy because I'm asthmatic, and that's an unfortunate byproduct of growing up in a household with some serious smokers. So when the weather gets like this, I get a little bit wheezy. I wanted to tell you several opportunities for resourcefulness that I found, and these were just today. So on this week on Groceries, I have been sick, and I had a lot of groceries built up from the holidays and from just other general things moving from one house to another, and I didn't feel like going to the store. I had ordered a bunch of things to do this special diet, and it ended up not being what it said it was going to be if you saw my other videos. So I've just been trying to make do and with what I have. And it's funny, over my life, I've noticed that every time I try to make do with what I have, I'm actually eating healthier because you tend to not grab the healthy stuff first. And so like today I had some frozen quinoa with spinach and tomatoes and feta cheese in the freezer, and I just heated that up, put it on a plate, and I cut up an avocado, and that was my lunch. For breakfast I had 2 eggs and a piece of Ezekiel bread and a green smoothie with protein powder. So just by eating what we have, I've noticed that that saves a ton of money. Another thing with groceries that you can do, and I've practiced this for years, is if you're struggling with your finances, go through your pantry and your fridge and write down the ingredients you have, and then make a meal plan around that. Because a lot of times you'll have like a box of pasta, but you won't have any kind of marinara sauce or anything like that. So instead of buying another box of pasta, you can just buy your marinara sauce or make it from scratch, and maybe your veggies that you want to add to it, or if you eat meat, your meat. So, using what you have. If you have a loaf of bread and you have some eggs, but you don't have any maple syrup, well, you could make French toast for a night's dinner. So instead of going out and just buying groceries randomly, a grocery list and using what you have is a great way to save money. And I practiced that for years out of, at times, necessity because of finances in my past, and at other times just because I didn't want to have to go grocery shopping or do a really long grocery list. And now that you have the Click It, where you can go onto the grocery store and click what you want, that can give you even more control to just, put what you want on there so you're not going through the aisles and buying things you don't need. So on the groceries, that's been really helpful, and I tend to eat less and eat healthier as well. We had some Crystal Light and some of those flavored waters and things like that. And I'm trying really hard to eat clean and not eat any processed food or chemicals, and that includes diet stuff. So even though we have a lot of that left over in the house, I've just been taking my herbal teas and making those, and then I just sweeten them really lightly with 1 teaspoon of agave nectar and pour it over ice if I want something flavored. So just trying to do with what I have, and it's really enjoyable. It's funny, I don't get nearly as hungry or have cravings when I eat like that. Some other things that happened were today I was shooting that Resolve to Reclaim Summit, and it was supposed to be a recorded video on Zoom, and my computer decided to crash at that moment. I'm running antivirus software on it right now. My phone would not work. I could not connect to the internet. I mean, everything that could go wrong went wrong. So Aisha and I were trying to figure out like the computer, Zoom. I downloaded an app. Nothing was working. And after about 20 minutes of this, we finally just decided that I would call in. She would record my voice and then put my picture up on YouTube we would just do audio instead of video. It wasn't ideal, and it's not what I would have wanted, but people can listen to that with their headphones or when they travel. So that was one way we were resourceful. We didn't just give up. We didn't reschedule. We just decided, well, this is how we can do it. And the key to resourcefulness is finding a clever and quick way to get something done to handle a difficulty. Right now, my son, my youngest son is 20 years old, and he has autism. Has Asperger's. He's fairly high functioning, but he gets frustrated really quickly. And so we have a Wi-Fi extender. We live way out in the country on a ranch, and it's just challenging Wi-Fi, and he couldn't get it to work. So I said, well, the box with instructions is in the laundry room. And he was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, then you'll have to figure out something else to do. So lo and behold, because I didn't solve the problem, I didn't get up and try to fix it for him. He is in there trying to fix it himself, and he might figure it out. And if he does, what a sense of accomplishment he's going to feel, rather than me going in there when I'm in the middle of doing something and stopping and fixing it for him. So that was another way. And, we're going to go out to have dinner tonight. I'm going to be traveling this weekend. It's my son's birthday on Monday, and he lives 4 hours away. So I'm going to go up there and see him. And I knew I would have to get a hotel, and I would be eating out. I'm going to pack. Actually, I don't know how much food packing I'll do. I'll do a little bit. I generally food pack, but when it's just me, sometimes I'll just grab I'll eat meals if I'm working with the people I'm working with. Then the next morning, I'll eat whatever is available at the hotel, and then I'll have lunch with him, and I'll probably have dinner with him. So that in that case, I don't need a lot of food packing. And I don't snack a lot, so it's not an issue. But I do food pack a lot when I'm traveling, not to just save money, but to keep you from eating crap. I mean, it's a huge help to managing your weight and your health. The other issue is I wanted to find a new hotel that wasn't so expensive, and I had to call about 3 hotels, and I went on Facebook and I got some recommendations, and it ended up a hotel that I thought would be more expensive. So I ended up going with the DoubleTree. The Comfort Inn was actually more expensive than the DoubleTree, and there were other hotels you would think would be more expensive. The DoubleTree ended up being the cheapest one. So I got just by checking around and spending time. Also, I need insurance. So I've got really good health insurance now that I had when I was single, and I'm going to have to let it go now that I'm married. I've been looking into all my different options, from what they call a sharing policy, where it's about $200 a month, but the benefits aren't as great and there's pre-existing conditions, to a policy with Blue Cross Blue Shield, which isn't a lot. The deductibles are really high, but the cost is about $150 less than with my fiance's work. To the most expensive is to go with my fiance's work. It's great insurance, but it's $600 a month, and I'm really healthy. I have another lady I'm supposed to call who can go and get plans off the marketplace, even if you don't qualify for subsidy, and that may be an option too. So before I decide, I'm weighing all the options. I'm looking at 4 or 5 different options and seeing what is the best policy. I might not necessarily go with the cheapest, but at least I will have weighed my options. And that's another big thing about resourcefulness, is looking at all of your options and taking time to study them and then making a decision when that's applicable. So that's my week in resourcefulness, and I wish you well.